Boston Mayor Martin J. Walsh announced that he will be spending 2019 pushing legislation that would require medical professionals by law to ask patients about the firearms that they keep at home. Now, he claims that doctors could use the responses to these questions to help them identify any risk that the patient posed either to himself or to others. Boston Police Commissioner William Gross said that, quote, "This is a great way for the medical field to help identify any red flag issues. It's to put another tool in the physician's belt to help out the victims," end quote. And it could also be used as a tool to undermine the right to privacy and self-protection. Joining me now to discuss this kind of slippery slope that really puts Bostonians on, Dr. Robert Young of Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. Thank you for being here, Dr. Young. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Does it put another tool in your belt? How does this help you?
I am as dumbfounded by Boston as you and Cam are, and me by Oregon. It blows me away. A tool in my belt? No, it has nothing to do with what I can or can't do for patients or any other physician. It just occurred to me too that their notion that this would somehow help them identify people who might be at risk, that's nonsense, because people who own guns per se are not at risk. Right. The only, you know about us in our position, first of all, in promoting the Florida Firearms Owners Privacy Act some time ago. No doctor should be routinely asking patients about guns, period. That's unethical and it's a boundary violation. It brings politics into the exam room, period.
Right.
The events in which you have a patient presenting some kind of potential dangerousness are vanishingly rare in general practice, less so in my psychiatry practice, but even then, rare. Those are the only times you should ask. So this just makes it worse. And I'm in a state of amused. It's an amusingly dangerous issue, really. Because owning a gun doesn't put you at risk. And requiring physicians to ask about this is a step beyond medical organizations generally recommending that we physicians ask about this anyway. The one positive light about this we may or may not see, Dana, is that physicians are notorious for not wanting anyone to tell them how they can practice. That certainly came up when they opposed FOPA. And let's see if it comes up in this case when someone wants to require them always to ask something. There's so many physicians who do not want to get involved in this. I would still say the majority. The AMA represents only maybe 20% of American physicians. So lots and lots of physicians agree with us. And what happens then? Let's say somehow this gets by, there's no preemption statewide or something, and somehow Boston doctors are actually following this and feeling they must ask every single time. Well, it's worthless unless you do something with it. Who gets to know about it? That's where it gets very scary, Dana.
And that's where the privacy concerns definitely come into play. And it seems weird to only focus on one inanimate object, especially when you consider the opioid crisis, when you consider automobile accidents, when you consider, I mean, there are so many other variables to consider, but it does seem, obviously it makes it very political when you only focus on one inanimate object.
That's right. The opioid crisis is in the news because suddenly some of the mainstream media realized that far more deaths occur now from opioid overdoses than from all forms of motor vehicle accidents. Of course, they're overlooking the fact that opioids and motor vehicle accidents kill more people than other people wielding guns. But we haven't heard them report on that interesting factoid yet.
No, that hasn't come up yet. I've seen it. I've seen it referenced separately, but it hasn't come up yet at all. And I'm glad that you are also putting it into perspective in terms of AMA representation, because so often when you see stories like this, it seems that everyone wants to speak for all physicians, and every group wants to speak for all physicians, and they really don't. I mean, you don't hear people like yourself on television, on the cable news, but you hear physicians that are more in line with that, and so it makes it seem that there is no room for disagreement in that particular industry on that particular topic, but such is not the case.
Right. Again, most physicians, I'm totally confident in saying, don't want to have anything to do with this sort of thing.
Oh, there you go. Dr. Robert Young, always a pleasure talking with you. I'm sure we'll speak again this year. Thank you, Doctor. Good to see you.